We are such a small drop in the vast ocean of humanity.
We believe in one God. We do not believe in conversion. A Zoroastrian is born of Zoroastrian parents.
We're the only religion that I know of that keeps people out. Why would anybody become a Zoroastrian?
I never intended for this story to be personal, but there are some things you just can't run away from.
The kids' American dream we saw through your eyes. I told you, like, we didn't even have a doll. And we never had to think about, like, food shortage. I think that was the first thing that I never had to think about
Food
that.
shortage.
Like, you guys will always have food to eat, you know.
That's my mom in the middle with her sisters. They grew up in a small village in India, but in the 80s, she and 4 of her 5 siblings moved to America. Did you guys realize what you were leaving behind?
Yes.
A lot.
Parents.
That time I knew okay, if something happens to them, we'll never see them.
But it wasn't just their parents they were leaving behind. See, my family is Zoroastrian, a virtually unknown faith in India, let alone around San Francisco. It's one of the oldest monotheistic religions, predating Islam and Judaism, and my grandfather was a revered Zoroastrian priest. Like many first-generation immigrant children, I grew up confused. I had 2 worlds, my American identity and my Zoroastrian heritage. So growing up was a struggle to find a balance between these opposing forces. I remember being laughed at after telling my friends I was Zoroastrian. They thought I was pretending to be a superhero. So out of sheer survival, I turned my back on my faith. I just wanted to fit in and not be so different. But you know how these stories go. The older you get, the more you want to know about where you came from. So I packed up my cameras and moved to where it all began. With over 18 million people, Bombay's an all-out assault on your senses. Every part of life is in your face. And faith, religion, God, it's around every corner. It was India that allowed our faith to survive. See, Zoroastrianism originated in Persia, roughly 3,500 years ago. At one point, followers were in the millions, but they virtually disappeared after the Muslim invasion. A small group of persecuted Zoroastrians sought refuge in India, close to the village where my mom grew up. The descendants of this migration, my ancestors, were called Parsis. While Parsis adopted some local Hindu customs, we held tightly to our traditions, creating an exclusive ethnic identity. I met Ramya Karanjia, a well-known priest and scholar, who believes this was vital to our survival.
According to me, the most important reason, and perhaps the reason why we are here, is because after coming from Iran to India, we maintain the idea of exclusivity in terms of religion as well as in terms of marriages. And it is singularly, according to me, that trait which has kept us alive and kicking till today.
Parsis helped build Bombay's first hospitals, universities, and leading industries. We are seen as a wealthy, intelligent, and giving community. But back to that exclusive thing. Here's the deal. To be Zoroastrian, you have to be born into the faith. No one can convert in. Women who marry out of the fold are shunned from raising their children Zoroastrian. And non-Parsis are forbidden to enter fire temples, our places of worship. Inside these temples, Zoroastrian priests pray over consecrated fires. They wear white, symbolizing purity, and they cover their mouths so their breath won't fall onto the flame. People assume we worship fire, but that's not really the whole story.
When we say fire, we don't just mean the physical burning fire, but we mean fire as an energy. So fire is a living, breathing entity which we consider as the best representative of God on earth, because it gives light, it gives life, it gives warmth, All these are qualities of God.
Being in a fire temple is like stepping back in time. The smell of burning sandalwood and the echoes of familiar prayers made me feel closer to my ancestors than ever before. Our religious rituals are thousands of years old, and just like other faiths, they are safeguarded by priests. This is one of only 2 Zoroastrian preschools left in Bombay. To become a priest, you have to be born into a priestly family. They're the only ones trained to officiate marriages, death ceremonies, and pray over consecrated fire. They have to memorize nearly 500 pages of prayers in the Avestan language. And their initiation has to happen before puberty, which is why they need to get an early start. Ramyar is the principal of this boarding school and is worried that soon there'll be a shortage of priests. But not long ago, there were more priests than needed.
We heard from our grandparents that they used to go to a fire temple and sit for hours on end waiting to get an opportunity to serve. And they worked on, in that sense, a daily wage basis. So this idea of a full-time priest started diminishing. It started looking less and less attractive.
Today, these young priests get a religious and secular education, but that wasn't the case in my grandfather's day. Remember, he was a full-time Zoroastrian priest, and my grandmother a faithful wife. Neither of them had the luxury of an education.
She was determined that
we should get a good education.
all the daughters should be educated and finish high school because she was deprived.
So she encouraged her daughters and sons to search for better opportunities and leave the priesthood behind. And it wasn't just in our family. In the 1920s, there were over 2,500 full-time priests. Today, there are only about 200. But the most pressing problem for the community is not just the priestly population, but our overall population. There are fewer than 70,000 Parsis left in India, and about 25,000 more scattered throughout the world. Some have called us a tribe on the verge of extinction, and many believe the reason for the decline is our community's refusal to adapt.
I don't think you can control it. I don't think you can tell people who to marry. You can't do that in a democracy. And even if you tell them, and people do tell them, they're not going to listen. I think a lot of what is there in the religion is based on the old notions of caste and race. So in modern times, it was all right then. It's not okay today. You can't tell someone you can't come in because you're not born a Parsi, because your race is different from me.
Parsiana magazine records all Parsi births, deaths, and marriages. And when it began printing the names of mixed married couples, Jungir said there was an uproar.
We're the only religion that I know of that keeps people out. So, I mean, there's a difference between a religion that is alive, welcoming people, and prospering and growing, and a religion which is dying or has a death wish.
We have experienced one of the most dramatic fertility and population declines in recent decades. And while some point to the community's antiquated beliefs, others, like head priest Peshwatan Mirza, who served alongside my grandfather, put the focus squarely on women like me.
The number declining revolves around the girls, the ladies. They started getting more and more educated, became independent. So what started happening was late marriages, good extent no marriages, mixed marriages, and marriages without children. So today, if you see generation to generation in your own family, you will know how it has come down.
I left India with a heavy heart, and months later back home, I asked my mother if her mother would have been proud of us. And she said yes, always.